When it comes to green issues, one of the most important things to all of us is the air we breathe. It's not often we think about air quality or the fact that it has such an impact on our health and well-being, but it is something of vital importance to each and every one of us. And that's why I'm out here in Blythe Ward in Solihull, speaking to local community members, but also catching up with Councillor Ken Hawkins, who's the Solihull Borough Council Cabinet member for the environment and infrastructure. And Ken, you've brought me here to talk about air pollution, air quality. This is a wonderful community setting. As you can see, it's quite busy, but it's right next to a school. So tell us, how have you been working to ensure that the air quality is good and that air pollution around here has been addressed?
Well, one of the big things we do in relation to the whole borough is our school streets parking. We're the first council in England to adopt a regime where some schools you can't go into their access road unless you have a permit during school hours. That's been successfully rolled out, and it's been so welcome. It's not only protects children at the school gate from cars, but also from their fumes. And here as well, we have this big sign here for months past during the school, where I've been a governor for years. It's a process where we try to get that message across. We'll have other posters on the trees outside. Stop idling. That's not just the summer, but the winter, where people come early to park and they get their cars are idling. It doesn't matter whether they're electric or petrol, diesel. Yeah, the fumes are emitted, and that is a problem for pupils. And so that's something which this school does extremely well. A school with 650 pupils, a lot of them from outside the catchment area. So the focus on vehicles to get them to school is a big issue. And so it's not just this big car park, but also the neighbouring roads, and it's reinforcing that message that idling of cars causes fumes.
Exactly, and it's something that people might not necessarily realise, as you described there, that leaving the engine running when you're not moving is putting out unnecessarily pollutants into the air. It's an issue that I worked with many years ago with Westminster City Council and impacting people's behaviours and changing their behaviours when it comes to this. How have you found people's response and reactions to your campaigns here when it comes to engine idling? Are they fairly receptive to it?
They are, and of course, and I think we're the same. We all need reminding now and again not to do this. It's that when we do ride up somewhere, let's just turn the engine off. It's got to save you money as well, both in the short and long run. But it's getting those messages across to remind people that this is what we are doing, not just the council, but we as a community are signed up to it.
Yeah, and the other part of that, and certainly within your brief at Solihull Council, is active travel. So where we are today here in Blythe Ward, you've got a school, as you've described. You've got a busy road we're coming up to, and this lovely woodland area. How do you ensure that people are also undertaking active travel, so they're getting away from their vehicles, walking if they can, and taking up public transport?
A school like this does mean that a lot of pupils would need to have some sort of transport to get their car. And we ask people if they can car share at all, or even things like there's a park just nearby. Park there, it's a big car park there. You haven't got the hassle of this main car park, and walk half a mile to school, and or further away as well. Park further away, walk to school. Cycling, the school has cycle bays, places where bikes and scooters can be stored safely, and also it's one of the schools that takes part in our bikeability. And again, as a council, I think we're the second or third in the country in relation to the number of pupils each year that take our bikeability. Something like 80% of all pupils take part part in their bikeability training. So that is something which we're very proud of. Encouraging people to walk and cycle to school where we can.
Now, earlier on when we were speaking, you were telling me about trees, the importance of trees, which, you know, seems like a no-brainer. But tell us, you know, about the approach that you've taken towards trees and greening generally.
Well, in trees, we signed up, well, not signed up, it's our own initiative a few years ago, in 10 years to plant 250,000 trees. Now, some of them are saplings, many of them are actually substantial trees. And we're well on course to do that. We've already planted 100,000 trees, and you would have gone to Hope Coppice and see some of our investment there, because that could have easily been a housing development, but we took the decision to take it out of the draft plan. Excuse me. Use that as a coppice for help plant trees, but also as a place of remembrance for certainly not just for COVID, but COVID as well.
Right.
But also what we are doing is, if you see evidence here further up there, we're taking down some trees that are invasive, that are putting our natural trees, our native trees at risk. So we're.
It's okay, you can come through.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's quite a busy walkway around here. Hi there, you're right.
So we're taking away trees that are diseased or creating a problem, overhanging certain places, or they are constraining the growth of native trees, which we want to protect.
Right, we're next to a busy road. Part of your brief is infrastructure as well.
Yeah.
Tell us about how, with the environmental brief, you've been able to address those issues caused by heavy pollutants and traffic as well.
Well, you see, certainly our agenda is to establish more and more electric charging points throughout the borough. I don't know those figures to hand, but we have got hundreds and hundreds of them. So that helps in that respect, and it's our housing agenda. I know that the development further along in my ward, that each house is going to be built is going to have electric charging points already in them. And then you work with our highway contracting partners, Balfour Beatty Living Places, who are always looking at innovative ways to ensure that their materials are sustainable. You know, they reuse materials, they procure them from closer to home, and also they're looking at materials that outside the box. I saw a report recently where they're using old lorry tyres to help supplement the tarmac, to help that tarmac be in place for longer, so get better value out of it.
It's fantastic to see Solihull Metropolitan Borough Council leading the way and innovating as well when it comes to environmental issues. And certainly within the Conservative Environment Network, there's a lot we can learn from local policymakers and decision makers as well. In your experience, if colleagues across the Conservative family are watching this, what would you say is the most important thing when it comes to addressing some of those environmental issues and concerns that could be quite bespoke and local to different areas? And what's the best way forward, would you say, from the learning you've taken here from Solihull?
I think we need to live the ideal. It's not just something that's just off the shelf for an election. It's not. This has been part of our bread and butter for quite a long time, and it will be moving forward. A lot of things, if we're going to do it properly.
Yeah.
Yes, some of these things cost money, so we have to look at other ways how we can resource this sort of thing. But it's making a difference, and that's what we must do: make that difference and plan for the future. Whether it's road networks, whether it's parks and green spaces, we need to we need to think not just for the here and now. We've got to think next 10 years, 20 years, 50 years.
That's a very positive and pragmatic message to be leaving our viewers with. Final thoughts, if you'd like to find out more about the Conservative Environment Network, have a look at the link to the website on this post. Thank you.